PSA is cranking out a ton of cards in the last several months just to catch up with the backlog. Today, I want to take a deeper look into what's behind the curtains, what's representing the backlog, and what that means for us as collectors and investors going forward on this episode of DIY Sports Cards. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of DIY Sports Cards, a place where we take a deep dive into the buying and selling of sports cards for collectors and investors alike. I'm Ramon. How y'all doing? I know it's been a while since I posted. Day job has really been cranking up. Recently I picked up a contract with a big pharma company to really help them review their buying strategies. It's interesting to see what big companies are and are not doing right now. That's why I do this channel, is to give you, the collector and investor, the opportunity to look behind the curtains, see what you can do, see what you can do, and see what opportunities may be there. There's a lot of data, a lot of free data that's out there that you can take advantage of. It's just a matter of what you can pull, what information you can pull from that data, and how it helps you make better buying decisions going forward. Today I want to look into PSA once again. It's interesting to see how busy PSA has been since they shut down last April in 2021 to push through all of the cards they have in their backlog. Let's have a look inside the numbers and see what we can pull today. We're going to go inside the numbers, still going to focus just on PSA. I realize that there are other grading companies that are contributing to the overall pop count, but really PSA is king. They're contributing about 80% of the total pop count that's out there. So we're going to focus on their data. Okay, so the first number I want to share with you is 41,562,795. What is this? Well, this is the total pop count as of May 5th, 2022. Okay, let's stop here for a minute. Back at the beginning of the year, we were looking at the number being somewhere around 39 million. If you go back to the end of 2016, I put out a video that showed that the pop count then was about 20.9 million cards in total. So what this number tells me is by the end of May, PSA will have doubled the pop count that they reported at the end of 2016. It took them 5.5 years to double a pop count that they created since when PSA started all the way to the end of 2016. There's a heavy dosage of volume going through PSA to get graded. It's really showing how the hobby has evolved to show that they're relying on these grading companies to validate the quality and condition of all these cards. It's overall a good thing because it does validate a condition of a card so that you can better price it to market. Definitely a good thing. All right, let's move on. All right, next number I want to look at is 21.88%. All right, so this percentage represents the total pop count of the top 50 players and fictional characters that have been graded. Now, if you look at the entire 41 million cards, we have somewhere between 8 and 9 million cards dedicated to just 50 players in all the sports and not TCG categories. That's a lot of cards, and it really does show that superstardom really does drive what people decide to get graded. Obviously, you're not going to see commons, but amongst all the Hall of Famers and all the folks that are considered greats, there's a small segment of 50 players that represent which cards are getting submitted to PSA. Let's take a look deeper into what those cards are. I'm not going to show you all 50, but I am going to show you the top 5. So looking at the top 5, number 5, you've got Kobe Bryant at almost 345,000 cards. That's a lot. Number 4, LeBron James, another basketball player, 438,000. Number 3, Charizard's Holo cards is coming in at 476,000 cards as a pop count. And number 2, Ken Griffey Jr., almost 540,000 cards. And number 1, I'll let you guess, but you don't need much time to figure out who's going to be at the top of the list. And that's Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan's pop count, all cards graded, is almost 843,000 cards. Wow. It's pretty obvious where folks are putting their grading money into. I mean, look at this list. When you take account of these particular players, the total pop count is roughly about, I think you get to, let's see, 1.3, 2.1, almost, so 2.5 million cards represented by these five players. Anyways, let's look forward. Now, what does this mean for the last 60 days? Now, in recent months, you're going to start seeing cards coming back that are graded, that were submitted a year ago. So let's take a sneak peek of what that means, that have been graded in the last 60 days. What's the pop count of the graded cards over the previous 60 days? All right, so over the last 60 days, we collectors have submitted, and PSA has graded over 71,000 Michael Jordan cards. Number 2 on this list is Charizard the Holo card. They've graded nearly 57,000 Charizard cards. And at number 3, PSA has graded 31,000 Kobe Bryant cards. Again, 2 basketball legends and Charizard. Now, it's pretty interesting to see how the Pokemon cards have really penetrated PSA. A big chunk of PSA cards being graded right now are coming from Pokemon and TCG. Because what's interesting about this list is, if you look at number 4, if I were to make this the top 4, Pikachu's Pokemon card, there have been almost 30,000 of those cards graded in the last 60 days. Very, very interesting. It's really just a growth in TCG that's really been driving a considerable amount of this backlog. You know, before PSA shut down, there was not a lot of TCG cards really being submitted. And now in March, when it came out how expensive the PSA 10 Charizard first edition Holo card was, people started submitting their cards and realizing, oh my god, Pokemon cards, I mean, I could really make some money on this, I could flip these. That might be the root cause as to why a good chunk of this backlog is occurring. So what does this mean? It means that the collector is relatively predictable from the standpoint that when we submit cards in to get graded, the ones that we send in are of active greats, Hall of Famers, legends. You look at the list and you see the top 3 cards being graded, or players being graded, are Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, or Ken Griffey, and Charizard. Does that necessarily mean those are bad investments going forward? Not really. But it really also depends on how long you want to keep those cards. You see, if you're in this for the long haul, if your plan for a Michael Jordan card is, I want to grade this and get a 10 and keep it for 7 to 10 years, do you see an opportunity for a return in a card for a Michael Jordan card in 2032? Most likely, I would say yes, because his playing career will be celebrated, and people will be reminded of the continued greatness that Michael Jordan really represented during his time. Can the same be said for Ken Griffey? Of course. You know, Ken Griffey's rookie card, his rookie Upper Deck card, is an iconic card. You go long term on that. If you're trying to grade that card, get a 10, and just flip it so that you can get some money on that, yeah, you're going to draw somewhere between $1,800 and $2,000. It's a great buy. However, if you're buying the 10 off eBay, are you going to be able to flip that and get $2,500, $3,000 for that anytime soon? Probably not. It's going to take a little time for the hobby to continue to evolve, more people interested in the market, creating more demand for cards like that rookie Ken Griffey Jr. before the values start going up. So that's really the play when you look at someone like Ken Griffey Jr. And speaking of PSA, if you look at the numbers and the amount of cards that they're grading, now they've said they've dedicated 80% of their entire staff to completing the backlog. So for every million cards, if you look at that linearly, that would suggest that every million cards that are graded, 800,000 of those are from the backlog. So if they had a backlog of 10.5 million cards, and they're completing about 750,000 to 800,000 cards a month, that means it's going to take them close to 14, 15 months to finish that backlog and get through it, every single card in that log. So if they started in April, 14 months from that point, is going to be June of 2022. There's a possibility that when the National comes, PSA will be sending an announcement they will have completed the backlog and got that list down to 0. And that'll be a huge accomplishment, not only for them, but also for the hobby. But it also makes me wonder is, okay, you got the backlog done. You had 10 million cards. Each card was probably an average of like 15 or 20 bucks per card on that. Let's say it's 20. So they made $200 million on that backlog. What next? What are we going to be looking at there? Because going forward, if you take away the backlog, their current grading rate per month is about 160,000 cards outside of the backlog. That's still 10x over SGC, over CSG, all the other companies. So it makes me wonder what their plan is going forward. Are they going to drop the price down to 20 bucks and open the floodgates and let several million cards come back, because that's the risk? Or are they going to stay at the $50 price point as the lowest level that they want to provide and keep managing at that level? I think this year is going to be really interesting in terms of what the hobby's going to look like and what grading is going to look like in general. PSA holds all the cards. They're king. So they're going to be able to dictate what happens next. That's all I got for you today, folks. Hey, hit that like button. Subscribe if you like what you're hearing. I'll be posting a lot more videos coming up in the next several months. Got plenty of content to look over, to review. Really want to be focusing on the value of buying and what data points you can be looking at to help you make better buying decisions. I think this is really important for the industry. We so focus on the whole process, the buying and the selling, you're looking at it as flipping, but if you are absent of time and you're looking to buy, what can you do to help yourself make the best possible decisions? That's what I'm hoping to create for you as well. And also on top of that, I got some submissions coming back in the next week. I'm looking forward to sharing that with you as well. Interesting returns, both positive and negative, but it's definitely worth sharing what the outcomes were. Hope you all have a great week. Stay safe, everyone. Be healthy, and we'll see you all real soon. Peace out.